Today I'm going to be talking about habits. Now, I've been thinking about habits a lot, cultivating habits of my own a lot, and I want to share what I'm learning with you, not only because I want what's best for you, but also because creating content more is something that I'm trying to make into a habit. So, let's begin by explaining why habits are important. A lot of people don't fully understand habits and the impact that it can have on your life. What is a habit? Not a lot of people think of it this way, but it's actually a solution to a problem. We find out ways to solve problems, and the ways that work, we repeat, and eventually they become a habit. They become habitual to the point where we do them without really thinking about it, so that it doesn't take any of our brain power to do it. We just perform it on autopilot to solve the problem. Let me put that in perspective for you. You go to work and you work a long day and you get out of work and you are tired. Now, the problem that you're facing is that you are tired, probably feeling unmotivated, don't really feel like doing anything, and there's a number of habits that people choose as solutions to this problem. One, you could smoke a cigarette. That's going to change your state, give you a little bit of focus, maybe make you feel better temporarily. You could go to the gym and work out, and that will give you a boost of endorphins, make you feel good, get you breathing, feeling more alive. You could hop on a video game and talk to your friends. That's something that is exciting and will get you into a different state. All of these habits are providing solutions to the problem of you feeling tired. You just deal with it in different ways. And a lot of our behaviors are unconsciously doing this. You might not realize that when you are craving food, you're actually just trying to get a little bit of stimulation because you're feeling bored. You want the dopamine that you get from eating food more than you actually have a hunger for the food itself. Or maybe that's just me, but I doubt it. So the next thing that you guys should understand about habits is that it pretty much shapes who you are. If you were to add up the sum of all of the habits a person does in a day, you get not only a pretty good idea of who they are and what they value, but you also get a good idea of where they are headed. And if you repeat the same habits over and over and over, you are likely to head in the same direction for a long time, to where if you repeat those habits long enough, they start to define you as a person. If I am someone who wakes up every morning, doesn't hit the snooze button, sits down and meditates, makes my bed, brushes my teeth, and then goes about my day and hits the gym every day and exercises, eventually I'm going to become a disciplined person, someone who is known as a disciplined person or a mindful person, or vice versa. If I was to wake up and hit the snooze button over and over and over, and then go on my phone, and then arrive late for work, and then get out of work and take a nap, or just not do anything, where if I were to repeat this over and over and over and over, eventually I would become defined as a lazy person. What I'm trying to get at is how important your habits are, because they compound over time, and you're not going to see the effects of your habits right away. If you meditate one time, you might feel like a little bit more peaceful in the moment, but you're not going to become a peaceful person. Vice versa, if you meditate every single day for months and months and months, eventually that shit compounds over time and you're a way different person, a way calmer person, a more self-aware person. And same with going to the gym. You're not going to see the effects of going to the gym and eating healthy after one day. You're not going to see it after 1 week. You might see it a little bit after a few weeks, but if you keep this up over time, eventually it compounds and you're in the best shape of your life. It is literally like this with everything. And a lot of people talk about this with like businesses, for example. Like someone could post content every single day for months and months and months and months and months and not see any results. And then eventually they start to get engagement, see the results, and then all of a sudden, bam, like their overnight sensation, or that's what people call it, but really it was just the compounding effect of all of their previous work reaching a critical threshold to the point where they were bound to be successful. And so that's what we want to do. We want to set our habits up to turn us into the type of person that we want to be. And so this starts with understanding what type of person you want to be to begin with. And basically we're backtracking, okay? You have this idea of who you think you want to be. You want to make sure that that's actually who you want to be and not just who you think you want to be. And then you want to understand what that person does on a daily basis that makes them the person that you want to be, why that person wants to do those things or why you want to do those things, and then you break it down into the habits and the actions that you need to take today and tomorrow and the next day, and eventually you become that person. And so this is easier said than done, easier explained than done. But what I want you to understand is that you can take a very systematic approach to building habits. Okay, you can't just remake yourself overnight. You can't wake up and be a different person tomorrow. That's just not how our brain works. Over time, when you perform a habit, you form new neural pathways, new connections within your brain, and those strengthen the more time that you repeat them. And unfortunately, this is just as true for bad habits as it is for good habits. You know, if you are so used to hitting a vape every time they get stressed, pretty soon, whenever you're stressed, you're going to automatically want to hit a vape and find some sort of relief until you decide to insert an alternate habit and have the willpower to stick with it over time. But that's the thing. Over time, these things get easier. So the first time that I decided I wanted to wake up and meditate for 10 minutes, it was not easy. I had to really fight myself and be like, okay, I told myself I was going to do this, and then I did it, and then the next day I probably didn't. But then after the next day, I was like, okay, I probably should do this, and it's still a struggle, and it's still a fight. And the same for meditating at night, which is something I struggled with for a long time. And I'm just using this as an example because this is what I've actually gone through in my own life and habits that I've implemented. It's very difficult at first, but then you reach a point where it's just as easy to do the habit as it is to not do the habit. And when you consistently choose to do the habit over not doing the habit, it simply becomes what a habit actually is an unconscious process that happens automatically. And so I know I am probably a little bit all over the place in this. It's been a long day of work and I should probably go to bed soon, but I decided to do this. And so it's important that you understand how to build habits. Okay, and there's like a really quick cheat sheet that it says in the Atomic Habits workbook. And basically it breaks it down into a really, really simple picture. And it says, well, first there's a habit loop. So it goes, first, any habit is initiated by a cue. There's a cue, a craving, a response, and then a reward. The cue could be something as simple as hearing your phone go off. And then the craving is wondering what is on your phone that caused it to go off. And then the response would be checking your phone. And then the reward that comes from that is seeing a funny text from your friend. And so that makes you more likely to want to check your phone next time because there's a reward at the end of it. And the same is true for all of our other habits. And so if you want to build a good habit, the first thing you need to do is make it obvious in your environment. If you want to go for a run, set out your running shoes. So then the cue becomes seeing your running shoes in the doorways. Then The craving is to make it attractive. Maybe you want to buy some new running shoes, so you're excited to go for a run. Whatever makes it more likely for you to actually do the thing. Then the response needs to come easily. There you have to eliminate the resistance for that habit to take place, which is hence putting out your running shoes. And then the last thing is it needs to be satisfying. And hopefully you're a person that once you go for a run, you realize that exercise is fun, exercise is cool, it makes you feel good, and that's a reward and a satisfaction in itself. And so instead of giving you the book's explanation, I'm going to give you my explanation. Basically, you want to make good habits easier and hard habits hard, but you also need to be intentional about your habits. So a great way to do this is thinking about when you're going to perform the habit. You don't just want to say, oh, I want to stretch more. You want to say, I am going to stretch every night after I brush my teeth before I go to bed. Get very specific on when you're going to perform the habit, and it's more likely that you will perform it because then the cue becomes brushing your teeth, and then you know that after brushing my teeth, I'm going to stretch or do something like that. Or every morning, I'm going to read a piece of paper that says my goals on it after I wake up, and then all of a sudden, after a week of doing that, you are going to wake up and your brain is automatically going to be thinking about that goal without even looking at the sheet of paper. It's like you're literally just programming yourself in an intentional way to think certain thoughts and exhibit certain behaviors that are going to eventually lead you to the desired outcome that you want. Our brains are really just psychological, crazy, illogical computers that need to be programmed in an effective way in order for us to achieve our desired outcomes and also just be happy and live a decent life and not get in our own way and like cause all types of unnecessary stress. But anyways, the next important thing to understand is that you want to start really small with your new habits. As much as I am guilty of this myself, and you might want to achieve like the major victory of just like, I'm going to transform my life. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. I'm going to work out. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to journal. I'm going to read my book. And then I'm going to take a cold shower. And then I'm going to do 10,000 push-ups. And then I'm going to jump over the sun. And then I'm going to fly. And then I'm going to take a bath with some instead of starting with all of that, you're going to want to pick like one thing, and you're going to want to make it really, really easy and really, really simple so that the barrier to doing it is low. Okay? For example, when I started trying to make a meditation habit, I was like, I'm going to meditate 15 minutes every morning, 15 minutes every night. And I would wake up in the morning, and if I like woke up a little bit late, I'd be like, oh, I don't have time to do 15 minutes, or I just don't have the energy to do 15 minutes right now, or oh, I just really don't feel like doing 15 minutes right now. And then eventually I would skip it. And so while my intentions were good, I was trying to do too much, and the barrier was too high for building the habit. Vice versa, when I decided, okay, I'm literally just going to sit down on my meditation cushion and take 5 breaths in the morning. I wake up, and even if I don't want to do it, I'm like, well, it's just 5 breaths. I can do 5 breaths. And most of the time I would end up sitting for a little longer, but still, some of the times when I didn't, I still got my 5 breaths in, and I was still putting in the work of building the habit to the point where now it is something I'm able to do, is to wake up before work and still meditate for 10 minutes very consistently. And I think it's because I lowered the barrier at first to like literally just like 5 breaths. And I did that for long enough for it to actually become a habit. And then once it was a habit, I could build on it a little bit and extend the time. And so I would highly recommend that. Don't say I'm going to work out for an hour every day. Say I'm going to work out for 10 minutes every day. Or I'm literally just gonna like go to the gym every day. You don't even have to work out. I've heard stories of people there was like a guy who went to the gym every day for like a month or like 3 months, and he just sat in his car and then he left. And people were like, why the hell would you do that? He was really overweight. He was trying to lose weight. And he was like, I needed to get in the habit of going to the gym. And he eventually lost like 100 pounds. So like he was just building a habit by performing the minimal amount possible to actually build the habit. And then eventually he expanded on that and actually started working out when he went to the gym. But first he just had to build a habit and become someone who goes to the gym every other day or every day or like 5 times a week or whatever. Not that you even need to go to the gym 5 times a week to, be in good shape. But the next thing that you should understand is your bad habits. We all have it. We all have bad habits. And if you want to quit your bad habits, it's important that you understand them. It relates to what I was talking in the beginning of solving a problem. If you have a quote-unquote bad habit of snacking at midnight or buying Twinkies or eating donuts or going on websites that you really aren't proud of going on, or any number of habits that you are trying to eliminate, going on your phone too long when you should be trying to go to sleep, scrolling every time you wake up in the morning, you need to understand that you are solving a problem with that bad habit. There's a reason that you are gravitating towards that bad habit, and oftentimes it's because you are looking for a state change. You aren't happy with your current state of mind, current state of being, or you're having a feeling of discomfort, and so you begin to look for something outside of yourself in order to change your state of being, because eating something pleasurable is going to change your state of being. Going on a website that you aren't really proud of is going to change your state of being. It's going to release chemicals in your brain that make you feel good temporarily. Hitting a vape, smoking weed, drinking alcohol, these are all things that are going to change your state in a physical way, and it's going to feel good in the moment, and that's why people do them, and that's why they are habits, but they also might not be the best for you in the long run or the most healthy and wholesome way to deal with these uncomfortable states, and that is why people refer to them as bad habits. So now that you understand that your bad habits are really just coping mechanisms in some way, they are actually serving a purpose and trying to help you feel good, then you can go about changing them. And a great way to go about changing them is by making it more difficult for you to do this. Okay, how would you do this? If your bad habit is snacking, you want to increase the distance or the resistance between you and snacks. And you could do this in any number of ways. You could put the snacks on the top drawer so they're not right in front of your face, not as easy to reach. You could hide them in the basement. You could actually lock them in a box and give someone else the password. You could get rid of all the unhealthy snacks in your house so that you have to go to the store to buy them. You're just increasing the distance. So when I get a hunger craving, it's not, oh, I can just go to my freezer and eat a whole bunch of cookie dough as much as I want. It's super easy. It's, oh, I don't have any snacks. I would have to go outside and climb up this ladder and get on the roof and look in the chimney and to climb down the chimney and then grab, oh, it's not worth it because it's just like far away. I guess I'll just drink some tea. That's the goal we're going for here. We're trying to create as much distance between us and the bad habit as possible. If your bad habit is scrolling, set a screen time password and then have your friend set the password so that when you want to scroll more, you literally have to call your friend and be like, yo, like, I'm trying to scroll right now. Can you give me the password? And they're like, bro, do you really need to scroll like that? And then you'll be go hold that whole thing just in your head before even going on the thing. And you'll be like, you know what? It's not worth it. I don't need to keep scrolling. It's probably not going to even do me much good anyways. And you can get really creative with this, okay? Just create more distance between you and the bad habit. Make it as difficult as possible. And vice versa, if you're trying to build good habits, make it as easy as possible. If you are trying to create content every single day. Put your computer on this table right here and have these microphones right next to them. So all you have to do is pull up the software and then hit record, and then it's really easy to start recording a podcast at 9:34 on a Thursday afternoon. And if you're trying to eat healthy, it's good to have healthy snacks available. If you're trying to read books, it's good to have books around. That reminds me of like the biggest life hack ever is literally, if you're trying to read more, just keep books next to your toilet and don't bring your phone to the bathroom with you. You'll start to read, otherwise you'll get really bored. But that goes a long way. I've finished whole books doing that. It's kind of embarrassing to admit, but it works. If you're trying to make more tea, set out your teapot right next to your water, and along with your different tea boxes. I got the whole shebang set up right in my room, and I used to never make tea, but then I moved to the spot that I was keeping the tea kettle, and now I make it all the time, and shit slaps. And I'm getting to the point where my mind is just tired. So I think I'm going to wrap this up with some of the best habits that have changed my own personal life. And so the number one thing that I would say has changed my life this year is journaling every single day. I created a journal literally for the sole purpose of being exactly what I want in a journal. And so I've got daily journaling prompts. I've got a habit tracker section that has helped me immensely to keep track of the habits that I'm trying to cultivate and be able to see myself develop on a weekly basis, along with a lot of other good stuff. But daily journaling prompts, evening journaling prompts, doing that is one of the things that I think is having a real compound effect on my mental health and my mindset, and also keeping me heading in the direction that I want to go. Becoming the person you want to be is not easy, and it definitely does not happen by accident, so you need to be very intentional about the systems that you bring into your life to help take you to the next level, and the journal is just my own personal way of doing that. It resonates with me, it's simple, it's easy, and I think it could help you too. So if you want the Mindful Man Journal, just find it on Amazon. It's $35. I know I'm promoting myself, but like I'm not even making money. It's just, I think it's good. So try it. Shameless plug. So next habit that has really changed my life over the years has been breath work and meditation. And I'll kind of loop those together because they're very similar. And a great way to start there is an app called One Deep Breath. Lots of different breath work routines, patterns, habits. Breathe and Flow is a great YouTube channel for yoga, breathwork, meditation. Yoga Lap is another great channel for that, to tap into like the more spiritual side of it. And the next thing I'd say that is probably, like, I don't think about this often, but is high-key the biggest life-changing habit that I have ever acquired is reading. There are so many books out of there that have literally just changed my life, changed my whole perspective, made me a better person, equipped me with the knowledge and the tools that I need to live happier and healthier. And books are so cheap nowadays, and you can find like half of the audiobooks for free on YouTube, so there's literally no excuse not to be reading in some capacity. But reading is literally the shit. Like, it is good. And if you want recommendations, leave a comment or like, or subscribe, I think. I don't know how podcasts work, but I'll make a podcast about my favorite books. That sounds actually like a really good idea. So stay tuned. New podcast coming out soon with all my favorite books and probably the lessons that I learned from them. That is all for today, folks. Thank you for bearing with me. Sometimes after a long day, late at night, my brain gets a little bit fuzzy. So if you notice that, sorry. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, I hope you have a great day. I'm creating an online community for people, men specifically, trying to improve their lives and do it in a community with other men that are also trying to do the same thing. I think it can be really cool. I'm going to record more meditations and breathworks and put them inside of that community. It's just $5 a month, and I would love to have you in there. It's going to be sick. I'll try to link it in the description. See you guys.